How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper, and my goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. Over on Dixie for the daily, we are pushing forward, but we're not very strong, so I would watch for a red candle still. We could still see a retracement and a drop down. Our stochastic is starting to round, keep an eye on that. RSI is flat, VWAP is bullish, but it's starting to pull back, so watch as that could bring momentum lower and cause money flow to deepen in the red, signaling further sell-off. Over on the 4-hour, we did try to break away. We could still be in a bit of a rising channel. That could be a fake breakdown. So again, I would watch. We could still end up breaking away from this range. Our stochastic does want to head up. Momentum is trying to gain strength. VWAP is bullish and money flow does want to push up. So if VWAP stays bullish, money flow could flip green, but we want to watch lower time frames for that. Over on the 2-hour, stochastic wants to round. RSI is starting to pull back. VWAP is pulling back and momentum is rounding. Keep an eye on that VWAP. If it continues to sell off, momentum could lead money flow lower. Over on the 1-hour here, our stochastic is starting to round away. We do have our orange above blue, so again, that's a bearish cross. Watch as that could bring us lower. RSI is starting to curl, so watch that stochastic close, as if both those break, we could see price follow. Momentum does want to round. VWAP is bullish, but very barely, so watch that VWAP close. If that VWAP breaks our neutral and holds, momentum will sell off and money flow will not reverse. It'll stay red and higher time frames will start to weaken. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we are seeing a push forward. This is positive. We did see Bitcoin perform a little bit better than our altcoins, not by much. So we did fill our gap to the upside. That is positive for the gap to the upside. But if we're going to see Bitcoin run up ahead of altcoins, this isn't very positive in the aspect for that. Stochastic does want to head up. RSI is pushing forward. VWAP is pushing up. Momentum is gaining strength. Money flow is green, but watch that VWAP. If that VWAP breaks down, we could end up reversing. Over on total for the daily, we did reject that 300 EMA. We also did try to push down. We did not push lower. This could be positive. We did get a little bit of fluctuation today, so it wasn't just a straight shot up. Our stochastic is curling. Keep an eye on that. RSI is rounding, VWAP is rounding, momentum wants to curl, so watch that VWAP. If that VWAP breaks down, momentum and money flow could reject here, and we could see the bears still gain control. Over on our 4-hour, we are struggling with EMAs. Watch for lower highs and lower lows from here. If we see that, we could break down. Momentum is weakening. VWAP is starting to favor bearish, so watch that VWAP. If it continues to favor bearish here, we could break down. We are breaking into the bullish territory right here, so the next few candles will be important. If they are green, we could continue forward, see VWAP stay bullish, and we could see momentum bounce. However, if they're red, our VWAP could curl away, momentum could break down, and money flow could start to weaken. So I would watch that very close. Over on the 2-hour, we are approaching that 300 EMA. Remember, that's a critical support resistance, so if we can't get above that and hold, we're likely going to reject and push down. This could be a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder, so I would watch. Stochastic does want to round. RSI is pulling back. VWAP is pushing down, momentum is rounding, and money flow is starting to sell off. Over on the 1-hour, we did bounce off that 300 EMA. We tried to break our EMA band, but we are back on the top of it, so that is positive. That could help continue to push us up. Our stochastic is pulling back. RSI is pretty flat, so I would watch. If that stochastic continues to break, that RSI could start to follow. That VWAP is pulling back, so I would watch that VWAP close. If it breaks that neutral and holds, momentum will round away. Money flow will go from green to red, and higher time frames will weaken. But if that VWAP can bounce and stay above that neutral, momentum will remain bullish, and we will continue to push up and strengthen those higher time frames. Over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we did try to fill our gap, but with this candle here, we didn't quite fill it with a candle body. So as far as the daily is concerned, we do still have a gap to the downside that we could fill. Stochastic does want to round. RSI is pulling back. VWAP is bullish, but it's very weak. Momentum wants to head up, and money flow wants to gain strength. But if that VWAP does not push strong, we will not see that money flow reverse. Over on the 4-hour, we do have somewhat of consolidation. Again, that could be a freak breakdown. Again, watch for a further break to the downside. Our stochastic does want to push up. RSI is pushing forward. VWAP is very weak. Watch that VWAP close. If it breaks down from here, momentum could break down and money flow would remain red, and that would weaken the 4-hour and the daily. Over on the 2-hour, stochastic is starting to round. VWAP is pulling back. Momentum is rounding. Money flow is red. Watch that VWAP close. If that VWAP breaks that neutral and holds, we will see momentum break down. Money flow would remain bearish, and we would end up breaking our 57K. Over on the 1 hour, this is where we're going to see how we're doing. Our VWAP does want to break that neutral, so watch that VWAP very close. We do have a higher high. We need a higher low. If we get a higher low, then we can stay above that neutral. From there, we could continue forward. However, if that VWAP breaks this neutral and does not get back above it, we will see momentum break and money flow will weaken higher time frames. So watch very close. We rejected across to that 300 EMA. So if we do not hold in this range and continue forward, it's likely we will reject and we will fill our lower gap. Remember, it's better to fill the lower gap sooner rather than later. Over on Bitcoin for the daily, we did try to break our support area. Again, this is positive. We did touch that 300 EMA. It is positive because we did see a bit of a retracement. We're not just shooting up. That does give us more of a healthy move forward. Stochastic is heading up, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP is gaining strength, momentum wants to head up. I would watch that VWAP close though. If that VWAP does not hold here, our momentum will not gain further strength and that money flow will not go from red to green. Over on the 4 hour, we do have a reversal arrow. That reversal arrow could break us lower if we're not careful. RSI and stochastic want to round, VWAP is bullish, momentum is pushing down and money flow is bullish, but watch that VWAP. If that VWAP does break down and we see a lower high, we could see lower lows and that would bring momentum lower. Just keep an eye on that VWAP. If it stays bullish, that would push us forward. So over on the 2 hour, VWAP is pulling back, momentum is bullish, money flow is green, we do look positive, stochastic starting to round, RSI is flat. Watch that VWAP again. We do have a higher high. Watch for higher lows. If we get higher lows here, we could create a bullish trend that would push momentum higher, giving money flow strength and giving us further strength to push higher and giving higher time frame strength. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic is starting to pull back. RSI is starting to pull back as well. So watch that stochastic. Momentum is rounding with a red dot. VWAP does want to break down. Watch if we break that neutral. If we break that neutral, momentum could push down. But if we bounce here and make a higher low, we could see bulls gain control. And that could set us up to run forward. So watch the next few hours very close. It will be important if we can break and hold above that Fibonacci level right around this 57.8. If we can, then we can continue forward. Over on graph for the daily, we did reject that resistance area, so again, exercise caution. This could set us up for further losses. We do have a slight gap above us, so that does set us up for a push up later. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is pulling back, VWAP is pushing down, momentum does want to curl, and money flow is deepening in the red due to the VWAP breaking down. Over on the 4 hour, we are continuing to slide as we got that reversal arrow and rejected that 14.316. Momentum is pushing down, VWAP is favoring bearish, money flow does want to break bullish, but with that VWAP struggling, and money flow may reject, so watch that VWAP very close. Stochastic wants to head up, RSI is trying to gain strength. Over on the 2 hour here, we are trying to push forward. We do have a gap below us, we have gaps above us, so we have gaps everywhere. Again, filling lower gaps is better than filling higher gaps first, because if you fill the lower gaps, that leaves the higher gaps for you to snap back up to. Our VWAP is bullish, but not very strong. Momentum is heading up, money flow is bullish, stochastic is heading up, but starting to round, keep an eye on that. RSI wants to pull back, so again, watch very close. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic is pulling back, we do have a gap above us. VWAP is pulling back, it does want to get lower highs, so watch for lower lows. If that VWAP gets lower lows, momentum could round away and money flow could become bearish and that would push higher time frames down. But if that VWAP does bounce here, we could see momentum push forward and we would run up. Again, that would leave our lower gap for later though. If we leave our lower gap for later and we run up to fill our higher gaps now, it's likely we would see a pretty brutal sell-off. So that's why you want those lower gaps to fill first. Over on Ankr for the daily, we are continuing above that value area high on that fixed range volume profile, so that is positive. Again, that candle is not very strong though, so I would watch. Stochastic is heading up, RSI is gaining strength, VWAP is pushing forward, momentum is heading up, and money flow is bearish, so I would watch lower time frames. Over on the 4 hour, we are continuing a decent bounce, so we do look positive, but we need to break above this area we're in right now, above that 2450. If we can break above that and hold, we could continue further, but if we do not break above this zone, we could end up breaking down. And we do have a gap to the downside, so if we do not break this zone, it's likely we would fall to the gap to the downside. If VWAP is bullish, momentum is pushing up, money flow is gaining strength, stochastic's heading up, RSI is pushing forward, so the 4 hour does look decent here. Over on the 2 hour, we are struggling with that 300 EMA. Watch very close. If we do not break above it and hold, it's likely we will push down to those lower gaps. We do have multiple here on the 2 hour. We have one at that 23.81, one at that 23.16, and then one slightly kind of right around that 22.48. Momentum is heading up, VWAP is pulling back, money flow is bullish, stochastic is heading up, and RSI is bullish, but if that stochastic rounds away, we could see that RSI bring price lower, so keep an eye on this 2 hour. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic does have bearish divergence, that does want to bring us lower. We have several gaps, so I would keep an eye on that. RSI does want to curl, momentum is rounding, VWAP is starting to weaken, and money flow is hitting that neutral, so watch that VWAP close. If that VWAP breaks through, momentum will push down, and money flow will break down. That would result in further losses. So over on XRP for the daily, we are rejecting our 54 resistance area, so I would exercise caution. That does give us the likelihood of pushing down to that 52.50, and then that 48.45, and then that 38.35. Stochastic does want to round away, RSI is pulling back, VWAP is bullish, but keep an eye on it, it's not very strong. Momentum does want to push up, but it looks like it wants to curl, so watch lower time frames. Money flow is bullish, but it's starting to pull back. So if that VWAP does not gain some significant strength, money flow could end up reversing. Over on the 4 hour here, our momentum is starting to break down. VWAP does want to reject neutral, stochastic is rounding, RSI is starting to push down. So again, exercise caution, we could continue lower. Over on the 2 hour, we have lower highs, watch for lower lows. If we get lower lows with these lower highs, we could create a bearish trend. That bearish trend could bring us lower. Stochastic does want to round away, RSI is starting to pull back. VWAP is pushing down, momentum is rounding, so watch that VWAP. If that VWAP breaks neutral, momentum would reject, and money flow would start to go from green to red. Over on the 1 hour, VWAP is starting to break that neutral, keep a close eye on it. It does want to bring momentum lower, we do have a red dot, and money flow is about to break down. If that VWAP does break this neutral, momentum could lead money flow lower, and we could see that sell-off to that 52.50 area, and then if we don't see VWAP reverse, we could continue down to those other supports. Stochastic is starting to head down, RSI is weakening, so overall I would exercise caution. Last but not least, unless you have any requests, we have ALGO for the daily, so we are seeing a bit of a sell-off here as well. Again, this is a long lower shadow, so followed by a strong green candle, we could push up. Stochastic does want to round away, RSI is pulling back, VWAP is rounding, momentum is trying to break bullish, and money flow is rejecting, so watch that VWAP. If that VWAP continues to push down, we could see money flow continue to push lower. Over on the 4 hour, we did hit that 300 EMA and we did get rejected. So remember, that's a critical resistance you want to break and hold. RSI is heading up, stochastic's pushing forward, VWAP is bullish, money flow is bullish, so we do look decent. But watch that VWAP close. If we fail to hold bullish here, we could see another significant wave like back here, and then we could continue with lower highs and lower lows. Over on the 2 hour, we did break that 300 EMA to the bearish side. We broke our EMA band, but we were able to snap back up and push up. That's why it's important to watch confirmations. Stochastic does want to round away. VWAP is flat, but we're bullish. Momentum is heading up, and money flow is bullish. So if that VWAP can stay bullish, money flow could remain bullish, and we could see a push forward still. Over on the 1 hour, we do have a gap to the downside right around that 1236. So again, you want lower gaps to fill first. We have another one just below us right here at that 1271. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is pushing up, VWAP is bullish, momentum is heading up, and money flow is bullish. If that VWAP can continue to stay above neutral, we could continue forward as we hold this 300 EMA. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night.